Hello everybody, I hope you're really well. This video has been coming a few months now. This is going to be why I feel krill oil is absolutely superior to fish oil. Back in 2022 or 23, I did another video and it's titled Krill Oil versus Fish Oil. You'll find it on my YouTube channel or in my Health and Hormones Support Facebook group. So this is going to be like a part 2 to that, because since then there has been a lot more research around pure krill oil and its benefits or its efficacy for optimizing health, including one that was released in October 2024. Which basically looked at how krill oil was able to target fat. And that fat was not only like our subcutaneous fat, which is the fat we would pinch, but also the visceral fat, so that fat underneath our abdominal cavity, that's what we would refer to as our bad fat, and also reduce fat in the liver, so fatty liver. In that study, they also saw a reduction in inflammation and oxidative stress. I will post a link to it in the description. But krill oil, primarily being made up of EPA and DHA, so I'll give it a go. So eicosapentaenoic acid is EPA and docosahexaenoic acid is DHA. But we'll just keep them short because then I don't look as silly trying to pronounce them. Your brain is made up primarily of EPA and DHA. About 10 to 20% of your brain is made up of DHA. 60% of your brain is made up of fat. So that's a lot of DHA in the brain when you look at it like that. DHA, super important, and so is EPA. So let's take a look at them, because these fatty acids are a bit harder to get into your diet, especially in a bioavailable form. And that's where pure krill oil comes in, because it is so bioavailable. Pure krill oil, unlike fish oil, which lacks what we call phospholipids. I discussed this in the first video. Phospholipids is like the backbone that the EPA and DHA are attached to, and that backbone helps to increase the fat absorption and the other benefits. So basically, when the EPA and the DHA are bound to phospholipid backbone, they can cross the gastrointestinal tract easier without needing to be cleaved or digested, and then get transported through the blood and into the brain a lot easier. But there is a newer type of phospholipid, which is called, when I mean newer to you, newer to most people have not heard of this, and this is called lysophospholipid, and it's a form of DHA that shows promise for preventing the visual decline that often occurs alongside chronic inflammation and other diseases like diabetes and Alzheimer's. The anti-inflammatory effects of krill oil and their effects on macular degeneration and improving macular health, especially night vision, is something I've spoken about a lot. There's a lot of research on this. Krill oil is highly beneficial for macular or eye health. Like, if you want to improve your eyes, you 100% need to be taking krill oil. If you want to improve your brain health, you 1,000,000% need to be taking krill oil. But this new lysophospholipid, it helps the DHA reach the retina, and this is something that DHA in fish oils cannot do at all. Where the DHA concentrate, that LPC, as we refer to it, that lysophospholipid, DHA crosses into the retina directly from the bloodstream, and this is really important. This is why it needs to have a phospholipid backbone. So krill oil, in that sense, and it's not just the phospholipid aspect, it's not just the DHA. There is another molecule present in krill oil, which we'll touch on a bit, that also has benefits for macular health, and really where the research is for that night vision help, and that's astaxanthin. But basically krill oil can help to counteract that macular inflammation or the neuroinflammatory processes because of its easier bioavailability, and then its additional beneficial compounds like astaxanthin. So although krill oil contains less EPA and DHA per gram of supplementation compared to fish oil, it is more bioavailable, and therefore the concentration that you're getting crossing into the bloodstream, into the brain, into the retina is a lot higher because it's bound in that phospholipid form. So people, of course, have heard about the many benefits of omega-3 for your heart, obviously your brain, more, your skin, hair, nails, pretty much everything, joint health. And there's a couple of ways we can get it, but it's a little bit more challenging for a lot of people, not just with the way we eat nowadays, but also the cost of food and then time constraints, preparing food. Like, there's a lot to be considered. Like wild-caught salmon can be great, sardines can be great, and there are some other fishes, but they're still not going to be efficacious as krill. And I would also add in that they're also not going to be as clean as krill in the context of heavy metals, especially mercury, because krill is so teeny tiny that the toxicity levels are so low in krill. It's a pretty clean product, whereas even if you're getting wild-caught salmon or salmon caught in the Antarctic, we know that ocean water, we know that the ice caps, they're still laden with heavy metals. So it's not going to be 100% clean. And then, well, the whole argument of mercury and aluminum and heavy metals, like that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down. But I think most people know it's obviously not good for you. But most people do not even consume a lot of seafood at all. And most people will rely on some sort of omega-3, 6, 9 supplement or a fish oil supplement. There's a few people that will take an algae oil, a more kind of vegan-based omega-3 supplement. But obviously, if you're going to be buying a supplement, especially nowadays at the cost of everything, you do want to purchase one that is going to be actually working, that it's going to be beneficial, that it's going to cross the gastrointestinal lining, get into the blood, easily cross the blood-brain barrier, easily cross the macular barriers into the retina. Like, you want it to work. If you're going to spend your good hard-earned money, you want it to work. And this is where I believe that krill oil is absolutely superior. Most krill, because it's such a good product, most krill that are pure, and pure means that it only contains pure krill oil and astaxanthin. So you got to read the ingredients, because there's a lot of kind of counterfeit krill oils out there. Pure krill oil is going to be more expensive than an omega-3 or a fish oil because it's so good, because it actually works, because it's a good product, it's clean, it's efficacious, it's bioavailable. So you're going to spend a little bit more money for it, but again, it's going to work. And I think that's what most of us want. Again, I know for sure if I'm spending my money on supplements, I want the best one that's absolutely going to work rather than just flushing my money down the toilet. And a lot of the fish oil supplements that people purchase, there's usually going to be some sort of chemical process that happens there that's going to involve in transesterification. And you'll see this. You will see it in the ingredients. It'll say esterified, or maybe triglycerides is the backbone on it. But the esterification basically transforms the oil into a synthetic product, which is far removed from the natural fats that you would get when you're eating like sardines or a mackerel or something like that. So the fish oil that you're getting in a supplement is not actually the same as the fish oil you would get if you ate the fish, because of the processing methods and then how they try to attach those good fats to some sort of backbone. So there are many issues with synthetic fish oils, and absorption is only one of them. Free fatty acids of fish oil have an absorption rate of at least 95%. EPA in its natural triglyceride form has a 68% absorption rate, while ethyl ester forms, that esterification I mentioned, that's found in nearly all fish oil supplements, that has only about a 20% absorption rate. So the free fatty acids from fish that we would eat, that's 95%. The EPA in triglyceride form is 68%. The fish oil supplements that we get is 20% absorption rate. Unlike krill oil, which again, I believe is a superior source of EPA and DHA, fish oil lacks any of these phospholipids I mentioned, and research is now confirming just how important these phospholipids are when it comes to gleaning all the benefits you can from the krill oil. So I know there is an argument out there now with a lot of my colleagues around fish oil being bad, and I can understand where that argument comes from. I don't fully disagree with it, but my argument is that krill oil is a better alternative for all of these reasons I'm listing. Then the argument would be, well, then krill oil is also an omega-3 fatty acid. And that's where the argument really comes in when we're looking at the inflammatory aspect of polyunsaturated fatty acids, those omega-3, 6, and 9. And this is where people get confused. The damaging effect of polyunsaturated fatty acids, apart from its unstable structure, is primarily from its content of linoleic acid and arachidonic acid. Pure krill oil has almost zero linoleic acid or arachidonic acid. It's primarily going to be EPA and DHA. So the anti-inflammatory effects of krill oil far outweigh any potential for it to be inflammatory. It's pretty much not inflammatory, but we see fish oil and these other omega-3, 6, and 9 products and the polyunsaturated fats and the trans fats, they're hyper-inflammatory. Whereas krill oil, even though it's considered an omega-3, it's on the other end of the spectrum. It's primarily made up of EPA and DHA, and then it also contains a very powerful antioxidant called astaxanthin. And astaxanthin is the red, the pink that we see in krill or lobster or shrimp or salmon. It is what gives it that pinky red color. And that kind of gives us the idea like it is an antioxidant. We think of strawberries, tomatoes, carrots. We've got that kind of red carotenoid kind of color association that many of us would see. And we know that astaxanthin, like I mentioned, there's a lot of research around its own anti-inflammatory effects. So that further compounds the anti-inflammatory effects we get from the EPA and the DHA in krill oil, and that research also directing more towards macular health as well. I'll find the study, I'll put it in the description. I'm pretty sure I listed it in the last video, and that it is astaxanthin that improves night vision for people. And there's a lot of recent studies that show how DHA can show promise for preventing visual decline as we get older. You know, it's really interesting to me. My primary focus for my own health over the last decade or so, and it will continue on as I get older, has been to keep inflammation low, like to keep it as low as I can. And I have zero macular issues at all. I don't wear glasses, apart from my blue light blockers sometimes sunglasses, not very often. I have no issues with my macular health at all. And I contribute a huge part of that to taking care of my inflammation and managing it. And I've been supplementing with krill forever, it would seem. My whole family wears glasses, even my sister, for computers, for reading, for watching TV. Nearly everybody I know wears glasses. And for my age, and sitting in front of a computer, and I also worked in IT for like 6 or 7 years, so I was always in front of a computer. I feel like I should have some sort of visual aid, but I don't, and I have no need for it. And I really, really, really attribute a lot of that is staying on top of my inflammation, and part of that protocol is staying on top of the krill oil. And again, the research is there, the research is solid, and the research is so solid that it's not just preventing visual decline. There is research showing it reverses it. And I have done this with clients where they have had such bad macular degeneration that using krill oil for a month or two at doses of 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams has shown a big improvement in their macular health and their vision quality. Like, it really works. We know that there was a study presented in 2023 at the annual meeting of the American Society for Biochemistry and Molecular Biology that looked at DHA in most fish oil supplements, and that stated that that form of DHA cannot reach the retina, where DHA concentrates, which would be that lysophospholipid, DHA crosses into the retina directly from the bloodstream with no problem. And I quote, "Increasing the retinal DHA at clinically feasible doses has not been possible until now because of the specificity of the blood-retinal barrier that is incompatible with the specificity of the intestinal barrier." This study uses the novel approach of dietary LPC-DHA, which is the lipophospholipid, that overcomes both intestinal and blood-retinal barriers and improves retinal function. So bioavailability is really, really important. We know that krill oil also protects against cognitive impairment. I had a neuroscientist on the podcast a few weeks ago. People were asking me to get one done on dementia and cognitive decline. This is a hot topic. People, as they're getting older, transitioning through perimenopause, midlife, and beyond, people are concerned about their brain health, especially if they're already experiencing memory lapse or cognitive impairment or brain fog, as we call it. And I'm delighted to announce I have another amazing neuroscientist on in September. I won't release her name yet, but a few of you already know. So this is a topic that I am passionate about because my granny died of dementia. I definitely don't want to experience any sort of cognitive decline at all. It's not something I want to put my kids through either. And we know that krill oil protects against cognitive impairment. Typically, DHA and EPA are water insoluble, and therefore they cannot be transported in their free form in your blood. But when they're packaged in these lipoprotein vehicles, like these phospholipids, then that improves, like I said, the bioavailability into the brain. And there's many studies that highlight krill oil's effectiveness for brain health. In an animal study, krill oil had a beneficial effect on neuroinflammation and oxidative stress, which are associated with Alzheimer's disease. In mice with Alzheimer's disease, krill oil also inhibited memory loss. Now, I will add in that if you're going to start krill oil, it's going to take a few weeks. A lot of people will see reduction in inflammation within a few days. They'll feel the aches and pains start to subside. The body will start to move a lot easier. But when it comes to the macular health and improvement and the brain health and improvement, you're at least giving krill oil 3 to 4 weeks of consistently taking it every day. The dosage will depend on how severe your issues are and how fast you want to see an improvement, but you do have to give it time. There was also writing in the Journal of Neuroscience Research where scientists from Central Michigan University again highlighted krill's unique position to counteract neuroinflammatory processes due to its phospholipids and additional beneficial compounds like astaxanthin. And they quote, similar to the more widely studied fish oil, krill oil contains the long-chain fatty acids EPA and DHA, which are essential for basic brain functions. Moreover, the phospholipid-bound nature of fatty acids found in krill oil improves bioavailability and efficiency of absorption, thus supporting the belief that krill oil may offer a superior method of dietary omega-3 delivery. Finally, krill oil contains astaxanthin, an antioxidant capable of reducing potentially excessive oxidative stress and inflammation within the brain. I could go on. It helps protect neurons from age-related degeneration. It can help with any sort of side effects from iron overload. It can also help with, like I mentioned, that study in 2024 where it can help reduce fat, visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, fatty liver, again the inflammation and the oxidative stress. For those of you that don't understand oxidative stress, in a very simple kind of explanation, when the body is under a lot of oxidative stress, it will rust really fast. Like an old gate, it'll keep rusting and rusting and rusting, and it'll break down. And that's not just at the joints or the brain, it's everywhere. It's across the cells, across the whole body. So krill can help to protect against that. So in this study that was published in 24 in Nutrients, they examined the effects of krill oil supplementation on mice with diet-induced obesity and metabolic dysfunction. The goal was to see if krill oil could reduce fat buildup in the liver, optimize cholesterol, which I know a lot of people are interested in, and lower that oxidative stress. These are all key drivers of fatty liver disease and cardiovascular risk. Researchers also explored whether the compounds in krill oil interfere with specific enzymes that promote cholesterol synthesis and fat storage. So what they found was the animals used in the study were fed a high-fat diet to stimulate obesity and metabolic damage. What they found was that krill oil was given at a dose of 400 milligrams per kilogram daily for 60 days. And then they tracked the changes in cholesterol, triglycerides, liver enzymes, and oxidative stress markers. What they found was krill oil reduced liver fat and total triglycerides in a dose-dependent manner. Krill oil significantly reduced oxidative stress inside the liver cells. Krill oil improved insulin sensitivity, and the strongest effects came from how krill oil modified key enzymes and proteins, especially in the liver. Krill oil had its biggest impact by changing how certain enzymes and proteins worked in the body. It lowered the activity of the main enzyme your liver uses to make cholesterol, therefore lowering cholesterol. And then this is the same enzyme, by the way, that is targeted by statin drugs. But obviously, krill oil doesn't have the side effects of statin drugs. Krill oil also reduced a protein that tells your body to make more fat. If, my friends, that does not convince you that krill oil is superior to fish oil, then I don't know what else to say. The research is there. The research is solid. Krill oil, very clean. You want to get a pure krill oil. Understand that because it's such a good product, it is going to be more expensive than just your average generic fish oil. So that's usually my option when I'm recommending a strong anti-inflammatory to anyone, or if pretty much it's in part of my basic supplement stack, not just for my clients but for myself as well. Krill oil is not compromisable in my opinion. If someone has an allergy and they can't take krill oil, then I will look at algae oil instead. So those omega-3s from algae or seaweeds, not going to be as efficacious as krill oil, but still can be beneficial. So guys, I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, as always, let me know. Pair this with the first video titled Krill Oil versus Fish Oil, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye bye.